So hi guys, welcome to my channel today. My name is Adora, and if you're just coming across this channel for the first time, thank you very much for stopping by. You're welcome back. So I understand quite all right that divorce is not always a very interesting topic. It's not something we usually like to talk about. We usually like to discuss because sometimes it brings up bad memories. It brings up experiences that we do not ever want to go through or imagine again. So I understand quite all right that a lot of times when we talk about divorce or when we even just um, think about it, it brings this bad blood, from inside of us. It just gives us this bad vibes, this bad negativity or negative vibes around us. So it's something a lot of us shy away from, and it's very understandable. But I don't understand why after a divorce or a separation or whatever it is you have with someone you are having a very intimate relationship, I don't understand why a lot of couples cannot just move on, like just move on peacefully. I have asked this question a long time. I asked someone, I said, can divorce be peaceful? Like, can it just happen and everybody walks away, moves on as if nothing happened? Yeah, I know it can, but on a more serious note, most of the times it's usually messy. It usually happens with a lot of bad trails behind it. It usually happens with a lot of bad things they have to say about each other. The woman dragging the man dragging the woman, and so forth. And at the end of the day, you just ask yourself, like, if you can come together as two adults and get married, why can't you come together as two adults and separate peacefully without being dirty, without being nasty about it? And that brings me to the issue of divorce as it happens in the diaspora. Now, I will be concentrating more on divorce in the diaspora for the purpose of this video, because sometimes the kind of things we see here is very nauseating. I don't mind if you're gonna divorce your partner, your husband and your wife. People divorce for various reasons. You could divorce because it's not working anymore. You could divorce because domestic violence is involved. You can divorce because mental abuse is involved. You can even divorce because you just, you're tired, you've fallen out of love, or you've outgrown the love you both have for each other. So there are various reasons why you can divorce, which is very fine. Nobody has to die in a relationship that is not giving you joy. The most important thing in life is your happiness. Fine, sealed. But where it becomes very questionable and unnecessary, with all the debts trailing around it, is when you now start dragging yourselves unnecessarily. Like when you start being petty, when you start being immature about it. Especially here in the UK, I've seen a lot of stories. I've heard a lot of stories, and I've even seen some where the couples decide it's not working for them again, and then they decide to break up. But you would think they have just gone for good and forgotten. Maybe the man will now come around, and because he's not happy that the woman left him. Some people have this ego. They don't get comfortable when you leave them. Like, how dare you leave them? How dare you say you're not doing anymore? How dare you dump them? How dare you? They question themselves, and they begin to look at themselves like they are failures, or maybe because you've trampled on their ego, and they don't seem to understand why you did that. So in order for them to frustrate you and make sure you do not move on smoothly, they start to label all kinds of allegations on you. I've seen cases where men reported their wives to social services. They just formed an allegation on the woman's head and said, oh, she's not taking care of the kids, she's not looking after the kids. So they want social services to be involved and even take over the children. They want the social services to take the children from the woman because they feel this is a way of getting back at the woman. And I have also seen and heard cases where women who were dumped, or maybe because the relationship did not work out for one reason or the other, the woman felt she was used and dumped, or maybe she felt she just felt hot, and she just feels, no, I won't let this man go free. I'm going to deal with him. And then maybe she starts trying to build up an allegation against the man that will send the man to jail. Sometimes women even go as far as saying it. I will make sure I deal with you in this country. I will make sure you rot in jail. I will make sure they deport you. You know, things like that, to show you the amount of bitterness they have already built up inside them in the name of divorce. If you must divorce because you think something is not happening between the both of you, because you think the love you used to share in the past is no longer there, why don't you just move on? Why would you want to create something that was not there in the first place? Like, why would you even want to imagine something to hurt the other person? What happened to the conscience you had when you were both in love with each other? Did the person now become so demonic all of a sudden that now you want to destroy the person's life? Have you forgotten the good times you shared together so soon? It's even worse when there are kids involved. Then you now think of the evil thing you want to do to that person. You want to do to that your ex. How would you feel if in future your child grows up to ask you, Mom, why is Dad in jail? And imagine if he actually landed in jail because of you, the woman. Or how would you feel in future when the children begin to ask, we have a mom. Why are we in the care home? You know, in the care. Why are we with social services? Why are we under, the institution? And you now discover, the children now discover in future, oh, because my daddy reported and they had to take us away from mommy and all that. How would you as a father feel? Where is your conscience at that time? So sometimes when you decide you are not doing again, you decide you want to move on with your life. You decide, you're done, you're dusted, let me just move on. It hurts. It usually hurts the other person. I know a lot of people they're not just happy that you're moving on. They're not just happy that you're going to be happy again. They are usually not happy that, oh, so you can afford to move on without me. A lot of people are usually in that shoes. They don't understand how you can be happy without them. They don't understand how you can even smile, because they believe that they hold the keys to your happiness, the keys to your joy. They believe they're actually the engine of your life, that without them, you cannot be what you want to be. So the idea of moving on and having fun outside of their life, it's to them, they don't want to think about it. So if it eventually happens, then from nowhere, you just begin to see the beast in them begin to manifest. That's when they then start thinking of all these nasty things, all these wicked ideas, all these evil plots, just to make sure that they ground you. Divorce happens everywhere. Divorce happens in Africa, it happens in Europe, it happens in Asia, it happens everywhere, all over. The kind of divorce I have seen, but especially here, abroad, it's terrible. It's very, very terrible, in the sense that in most cases, when they even divorce, when a divorce happens, okay, let me give you a story, a very short story of what happened some years back. A man and a woman came to the UK. They've been here for a while, and they now decided that, you know what, they're not doing again. They want to divorce. And so the man told the woman, okay, fine, if we're going to go our separate ways, that's fine, that's okay. I'm going to be bringing this amount of money for the kids. You bring this amount of money for the kids. Whatever we are doing between ourselves should not affect the children, which is very, very okay. That's a very mature decision. Don't involve your kids in whatever nonsense you two adults are doing. So they both agreed. The woman agreed, okay, fine, I'll bring this amount of money. The man agreed, I'll bring some amount of money. And then they went ahead with their divorce, and then they finalized everything. Divorce sealed. They moved on. And after so many years, when the man decided to marry, when he decided to get married, the man decided to remarry. And from nowhere, this woman came up with her problem. She came up with her stress. She just came up from nowhere and said, oh, yeah, she doesn't, there are issues that were left unsolved before the man moved on. So she wants the man to come and attend to those issues. She wants the man to pay so amount of money. She was giving different bills, different amount of money she wants the man to do. She wants the man. And at the end of the day, the amount she had actually given to this man, the bill she had given to this man was far much much, much more than what they had actually calculated in the past, and what they have been, they kept on paying, what they have, they were used to, what they were already working on for the kids, for the children. But from nowhere, she just brought up this new bill. And this just happened immediately after she heard the man was settling down again, and brought up this bogus bill. She wanted the man to be giving her, this amount of money she wanted the man to be giving her. So this dragged. The man refused. The man said no, that was too much. It dragged on and dragged on for a long time, and then the authorities took over this. And when the authorities came into it, they looked at it carefully. They looked at it from both sides. They discovered that initially the man was even living up to his expectations. He wasn't just a runaway dad. He didn't just abandon the children and disappear into thin air. That he was actually contributing something meaningful to the life of the children. They knew it was all there in the records. The man had his proof. He had evidences to show that he was paying into the children's accounts. He was still living. He was still doing what he was supposed to do financially. He was supporting them financially. So this was in place. So they told the man, yeah, you have tried. You have, you've really done well as a father. Okay, now let's look at this new list and these new requirements your ex is bringing up. So they looked at it and they discovered, well, wow, this is, in as much as, yes, the man is going to pay child support and all that, but what you are presenting here is far too much. It's not realizable. They told the woman it's not something, it's not doable. Like, this is a lot. How do you expect the man to also to live? How do you expect the man to survive? He's got his own, he's got life too, he's got to pay bills, he has expenses and all that. Already the man is already giving out a lot of money from his wages. So where do you expect him to get this more? And they looked at it, and luckily for the man, he was just lucky. He was just actually lucky that the judgment fell in his favor, because the woman was ready to milk him dry. Now, if you ask me, why was it at this point that the woman remembered to bring up a bogus list, to bring up this new list? Just because she knew the man was moving on, period. She never complained all the while when the man was playing his own role, his own part financially. There was no issue. She never said it was not enough. She never complained to the man to bring more. Nothing. Everything was moving on smoothly. Then all of a sudden, the man decided he was moving on, and then the woman came up with this. Sometimes too, there are cases whereby a woman would like to move on with her life, and the man from nowhere will just come up. We've heard cases of men that stalk their exes. They discover, okay, fine, now she's got a new man in her life, and all of a sudden they start loitering around the woman's neighborhood. They want to know who this man is. They want to know what the woman is up to. They want to know if she's driving a new car. Oh, if she's driving a new car, that means she has moved forward. Yeah, that means she must be making a lot of money now. And then she's making the money without me. Their ego feels deflated, because they're like, so this woman can actually be successful without me in the picture. Some men even go as far as start threatening the woman, start messaging her, giving her threats, making her believe that you are not supposed to move on without me. And if there's another man in the picture, I'm going to deal with you. I'm going to deal with the man. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. So I really don't understand why this thing called divorce is like a death sentence to a lot of people. If, for instance, or for any reason, your relationship is not working, your marriage is not working, the way you came together and planned your marriage, you planned your wedding, should also be the way you should come together and plan the divorce. Sit down as two mature adults and talk about it. Don't kill yourselves. Don't implicate each other. Don't destroy each other's lives because you want to get out of the circle you put yourselves in. Nobody put you there. You put yourselves in it. So you should be able to bring yourself out of what you put yourselves. Especially here in the UK, we see cases like that where people decide to destroy themselves. People decide, and to be honest with you, some of the stories I have seen, some of these cases that have actually happened here, are usually people of my color, immigrants. I don't know why you find it difficult to just move on. If it's not working, just move on. Take it like it's one of those things. Just move on. Yeah, I know it can happen to other races, but the ones I am very sure of, the ones I have seen, the ones I have heard of, are the people that decide they cannot take no for an answer. You can't just leave them. Like, how the hell can you leave them? Why should you leave them? And even if you leave them, why should you move on with life? Why should you be successful? Why should you find someone else? Why? This is the question they ask themselves. And I don't understand why divorce should be like this. It should just be a simple and straightforward thing. It's not working, fine, for the benefit of your mental health, my mental health, and that of the children. Let's move on like two adults. No one should feel destroyed about it. It should be a mutual discussion between you two as adults. And you should be able to come to a mature conclusion about it without having to destroy each other's lives. What would you benefit if at the end of the day, just because you're not happy your ex moved on, you decide to report to the authority and say your ex is into domestic violence, meanwhile he's not, or meanwhile she's not, and the person is just jailed for life, jailed for nothing? What would you benefit from that? You understand? Or what would you benefit if you just decide to report to the person and say, well, the person has committed one crime or the other and the person is deported, when you know the person actually came here to seek greener pastures? What would you gain from it? So why don't you just move on like an adult? Move on and retrace your steps. Fix the mistakes you made in the relationship so that when next you decide to move into another relationship, there will be no issues as such. So that's it. So as adults, if you decide to quit your relationship for any reason, if you decide you are done, you're dusted, you want to move on, please, please, please try as much as possible to leave any thoughts, any demonic thoughts that will make you want to destroy the other person's life, that would make you want to, make the person shed tears. Put the person in your shoes. Just imagine, no matter what the person, I know it's very hurtful and sometimes it's not easy to just move on, especially when you remember certain things the person did to you. But as adults, you should be able to stand up, dust your ass, and move on with life. That's life for you. So that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching, and I do hope you subscribe to this channel. Thank you very much and see you next time. Bye.